everyone. So I'm going to be going over my wrap up for the reading rush, and then in the next video I post, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on some of the things that occurred during the reading rush, including the book club, because I actually read the book and watched the live stream. So I thought I'd give my perspective on somebody who actively participated in it. But let's just get on to the wrap up and happy news, right? So this is, the first book I finished was The Shape of Ideas by Snider. I use this as a book that starts with the word the. This is a graphic novel, but not like, it's not a complete story, because a lot of these were independently like published webcomics on a blog kind of weekly. And it's all about creativity, from forming an idea, losing an idea, writer's block, creative block, that aha moment, the frustration that creativity brings sometimes, and the beautiful moments that it brings. And I really enjoyed it. However, and let me get like a decent, this is kind of the art style if you're like interested. It's absolutely gorgeous, but I like graphic novels that tell a story, and so because of that, this is a 3-star read for me. I might go reread certain things out of this, but it's not something I would probably read again from cover to cover, but I did enjoy it. Then I finished The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I believe I used this one for a book that was set on a different continent, because it is set off the coast of Ireland on an island, and also for the prompt of read a book completely outside of your house. I listened to the audiobook at work, and during the whole pandemic, I have been somebody who has been in work the entire time. Like, I didn't get a single day off, other than I got a spider bite recently by a brown recluse, and I had to be out of work for 24 hours. But outside of that, you know, I hadn't taken a PTO day. Our company didn't give us days off. We didn't shut down because I work in a hospital. So this was kind of fairly easy for me to listen to while I was doing like logging task, if that makes sense. But this is a semi-closed room mystery in that all of the players to the party are in the room. It's about a wedding party who goes to this island for a wedding, and you realize that somebody might have died or been severely injured in like the first couple scenes of the book, and the rest of that is kind of going backwards and forwards into 2 timelines, like the day before and the day of, to figure out what happened, A, and B, if this person was really injured or killed, who did it. There's a lot of spooky atmospheric vibes. I really enjoyed it. I think this would be a great like October thunderstormy read. It's also a great summer thriller. Like you could get through this on a beach in a day. But I really enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it so much that I picked up a physical copy because I listened to the audiobook. And it's one that I want to reread. And I typically am not somebody to go back and reread thrillers. This is one that I would. I will probably end up giving this 4 stars, only because the ending, I wish like the whodunit part was a bit different. But yeah, it was a fun read. If you have the chance to pick it up, you can get the audiobook from the library or the ebook from the library, because I know a lot of libraries are physically still closed. The one in my city still is. I highly recommend. Then I read Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid, and this was the book club pick. I also used it for the prompt of reading from a genre you want to read more from. And after picking this up, I definitely want to read more like literary contemporary fiction that's adult, that is not romance or mystery thriller centric. This was absolutely phenomenal. It will probably make my top books of the year list. It unpacked so many themes. Oh, before I get on, this doesn't handle certain topics to the best of its ability. It talks about a lot of rough topics. So if you're somebody who needs trigger warnings, I highly recommend looking those up. But I don't want to give the trigger warnings because some of that is spoilery. Okay, back to this. This is absolutely phenomenal. The inciting incident, which is in the first chapter, it's seen on here, is that Amira, who is a Black woman, is babysitting a white toddler from a very affluent family in a very affluent neighborhood in Philadelphia. And she's on an emergency, get her out of the house. And so she takes her to a grocery store, and the security guard basically accuses Amira of like kidnapping this kid. And she's like, no, I'm the babysitter. And there's a viral video that could go viral that is taken by somebody there. And this kind of follows the behind the scenes of some of these viral videos that we see in our culture, and commenting on how, you know, that isn't necessarily the entire story. And there's a lot of thoughts and feelings on should these videos surface, and performative culture, and how our own perspectives on life shape how we see the world. And also, there's another Black character in this book who is friends of the woman who has the little girl, Briar. I loved Amira and Briar their relationship. I wanted a book just on Amira and Briar. But what she wanted as a Black woman, and specifically in regards to this video, is different than what Amira wanted as a Black woman, and how it's not all equal, and how they all have different opinions, and their own upbringing and affluence, you know, plays a role in these things. And there's just so much in this book. It's a very feminist book. I want to hand this to people and just be like, read it, because it is that good. It's phenomenal. Then I read another phenomenal book. This is another probably 5-star book for me, and this is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I want to read this. I want to reread before the end of the year, the Such a Fun Age, and then one other book on my TBR, definitely, and possibly another one, because I read so many good books. This is an adult fantasy novel. However, if you like YA or middle grade, or the Every Heart a Doorway series with Shauna Maguire, or you like the Every Heart a Doorway series, had some problems, wanted it to be a little bit better thematically, this is that book. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's about a caseworker who investigates orphanages for children with magical lineages, and it unpacks so much racism, discrimination, what it truly means to be happy. This was so magical and whimsical and lovely, and the themes were great, and it's a very feel-good book. The ending was fantastic. I want there to be a sequel. I loved all of the characters. It was great. And I used this one to read a book that's the color of your birthstone, which is aquamarine. So you've got some like blue tealish here and some like bluish sea here. So that works. Okay, then I finished Winnie the Pooh, which I used to do the first book you attached to my TBR. I rolled a dice, and also a like book to movie adaptation that you've watched the movie or watched the TV show but not read the book. I'm a huge fan of the Winnie the Pooh Disney franchise. I love the Christopher Robin movie. I love the Pooh Bear like cartoonish stuff. I'm a huge fan. I had a Pooh Bear bathroom growing up. I loved it. So this was very nostalgic for me. I loved it. We'll probably give it 4 stars, but I don't know if I loved it so much because it's that good or because of the nostalgia. So this is going to sit with me for a little bit. But a lot of the stories in the Disney franchise actually came from the original works. The characters were just as lovely as ever. I absolutely enjoyed this, but I do think I enjoyed the adaptations better. So if you haven't read it and you're a fan of the Winnie the Pooh franchise, I highly recommend picking it up. And if you have small children, I thought the imagination and whimsy in here was great. On the last day of the booktubeathon, I picked up and basically like read in one day minus the first 15 pages, and that's The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake by Aimee Bender. This is one I want to reread. It along with Such a Fun Age, I think is a book you get more out of reading slowly and like really taking the book in versus flying through. And this is a book about a girl who's about 9 years old who tastes a slice of lemon cake, right? And realizes that not only can she taste the stuff in the food, but she can taste the emotions of the person making the food. And learning to deal with knowing things you probably shouldn't know at such a young age, knowing people's secrets, and then diving into this family that's a dysfunctional family as a whole and seeing how they work. All of their characters are very well developed. If you need a plot, this is not for you. If you like a very like a character story, this is it. It was great. Probably 4 or 5 stars. I do need to reread this. And like I said, I do think it's one that I need to like sit and reread passages with. And the writing is absolutely beautiful. At one point, the mother and the daughter are talking, and she compares her son to a desert. She says the little girl's a rainforest, and she compares herself to the big island of Hawaii. There's another kind of magical realism element going throughout the book that is kind of a mystery that I don't want to spoil because it's a big part of the ending. But I cried, I laughed, I smiled. This ran me through a gamut of emotions, and I definitely want to pick up more of Aimee Bender's works. And then to cap it off, I read Jesmyn Ward's Navigate Your Stars, which is a graduation speech, I believe. And I do think this book would make a great gift for somebody who is graduating or making a big move or even just having a really rough patch. I found it very inspiring and comforting. And I liked the theme of persistence and how important persistence is throughout the entire book. The artwork is by the illustrator. It's just absolutely stunning. The only thing is I have a couple learning disabilities that affect reading, amongst other things. And some of the pages made it hard to read because of like how the colors lined up with the letters. But the actual content of the book itself was absolutely fantastic. So I loved it. The cover is gorgeous too. It's like gilded gold. I love it. I really enjoyed it. I don't really know how to rate that though. It was probably really short, but it's probably something that'll stick with me. So I'll probably give it 4 stars. I mean, I haven't really decided, but yes. And one thing I kind of realized through this reading rush is I think I got back in the habit of reading. And I think I realized something too is I've been kind of in an off reading couple of years for a variety of reasons. And I think a lot of it was getting back in the habit of reading books. I got to a point where I would read a lot of 25 pages and just like would not continue. And this kind of showed me if I read a little bit every night or, every other night, I could get through books pretty quickly, and I could kind of maybe get through those first couple of 25, 50 pages and get to the meat of a book and start finishing books and enjoying reading again. That's one of the things from the readathon is that I really started to enjoy reading again. I found some other creators to follow that I like because of this readathon. I read a 5-star book that I would not have picked up if it was not for the readathon. And I just got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I will see you on my next video, which is kind of going to be a mixed bag, really, on my thoughts. But I did want to share them for anybody who wants to have a discussion. And I will see y'all later. Bye, y'all.